Hello and welcome. This is TVWAN News. Police in Port Moresby have detained a man after he attempted to transport 300 live bullets to Mount Hagen yesterday. The 5.56mm caliber bullets used in M16 assault rifles were packaged and had passed the primary security screening at the Jackson's domestic terminal unnoticed. Initial investigations have revealed that the man is a former private security guard, and investigation have commenced to lay formal charges on him. Police Commissioner David Manning warned smugglers to be wary of their actions, as the police will come down hard on those caught in the act. Meantime, the National Airport Corporation has assumed direct control over the primary screening point and will work closely with police to uncover the full extent of the security breach. Papua New Guinea's Prime Minister James Marape has extended an invitation to Israel businesses to establish the special economic zone in Papua New Guinea. During his visit to Israel, Prime Minister Marape emphasized PNG's strategic geographic location and its abundant natural resources in industries like oil and gas, mining, forestry, agriculture, and fisheries. He offered Israel companies land within the SEZ along with attractive tax incentives, aiming to promote economic collaboration and joint exports. The proposal was well received by the Israel Manufacturers Association and sets the stage for enhanced economic ties between the two nations. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has touched down in Jakarta with a new pitch for deeper trade and security ties with Southeast Asia. The government wants more Australian investment in the fast-growing region, aimed in part of diversifying Australian trade beyond China.
Indonesia in just over 12 months. Those trips were dominated by talk of rising security tensions, and that focus hasn't altogether changed. But Anthony Albanese wants to use this visit to deepen Australia's economic ties with its near neighbours. Part of that is strategic. The government sees enormous economic opportunity as Southeast Asia's economies rapidly grow in the years ahead. Southeast Asia is already Australia's second largest trading partner after China. The government also sees value in closing that gap, arguing more diversity in trading partners will help stability in the region too. Anthony Albanese will release a new trade blueprint for the region at the ASEAN summit on Wednesday morning, ahead of sideline meetings with the leaders of Malaysia, Timor-Leste, Canada and others. This is the start of a 5-day trip taking in the Philippines and the G20 Leaders Summit in New Delhi too. There had been hopes this trip could see a meeting between the Prime Minister and his Chinese counterpart, Chinese President Xi Jinping. With Xi skipping both summits, that won't be possible. But a meeting with his second in charge, Premier Li Qiang, could yet take place.
Qantas CEO Alan Joyce is leaving the airline 2 months earlier than planned so the company can rebuild its reputation. Mr. Joyce's abrupt departure comes less than a week after the competition regulator launched legal action against Qantas and was as political heat grows over his relationship with governments.
Alan Joyce has been pushed out the door, retiring 2 months earlier than planned. His successor, Vanessa Hudson, who's worked for the company for 29 years, had this message for Qantas's 25,000 staff.
We know that post-COVID, we haven't always delivered to what our customers expect, but we are listening and we hear what they are saying.
Liz Aitken is one of Qantas's many unhappy customers. She's been on hold for years, waiting for a refund for a flight her now deceased mother had booked with Qantas in March 2020.
Pretty poor, to be honest. Mum was always a great supporter of Qantas. She never really flew Virgin.
Liz now refuses to fly Qantas.
They basically just ignored her for the whole process and then proceeded to ignore me as well. It just leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Many others are disappointed.
It's pretty tough at the moment, it's frustrating, client service isn't great, prices are high.
Typical big companies, only they're thinking about the shareholders a lot of times.
Investors also want the airline to lift its game. They're calling on the company to withhold millions of dollars of bonuses for its executives, and some want the chairman sacked.
I would argue that Joyce out, Chairman Goyder out.
Qantas has a big repair task ahead. It could face a multi-million-dollar penalty after the consumer watchdog, the ACCC, takes the company to court, alleging it sold more than 8,000 flights that were already cancelled. There's also political heat building over Qantas's special relationship with the government that led to it blocking rival airline Qatar Airways from accessing routes that could have driven prices down.
Now, I'm not here to comment on decisions of the federal government when it comes to who flies in and out of our country. But I will make this point. We've always wanted more flights, not less, because more flights mean lower prices.
Liz Aitken is counting on a better experience. After ABC News contacted Qantas, it said it would refund her the full amount owed.
They should be paying attention to the people that make the money, which is their customers.
It's a message that Qantas.
The government of Japan has been criticized by the Melanesian Spearhead Group Secretariat for using the International Atomic Energy Agency report to justify what is called the mischievous and at worst disingenuous discharge of treated nuclear wastewater into the Pacific Ocean. MSG Director General Leonard Loma, in a statement, claimed that nowhere in the report do we find the category or explicit endorsement of and approve for the discharge of Hub's water into the Pacific Ocean. He states the best proof that it is safe is to discharge it into Japan's own internal waterways. Lama said the Pacific and its people have been victims of false assurance. Our experience tells us to be cautious, Lona said. He reaffirmed the appeal by Pacific leaders for a precautionary approach to be adopted for ongoing discussions between all stakeholders to continue. A proposal to build a wind farm off the state's southeast coast has been rejected by the South Australian government. Residents have raised concerns about the impact on the local fishing industry and the environment, but developers are continuing to consider sites further offshore in Commonwealth waters.
Southeast may be a small coastal town, but some view it as having a big part in Australia's alternative energy future.
It's a clean, green industry that we don't have here, so new industry means new jobs.
And yet the proposed $100 million wind farm off Kingston's coast has been swept aside by the state government.
The Minister for Planning assessed it. He didn't want to cause any harm to any of the marine fisheries that were there or the seabed, and he felt it was an inappropriate development for that site.
The state opposition is backing the government decision.
What I hate is when we kill the planet to save the planet, when we industrialise the natural landscape and offshore environments in order to create renewable energy.
The local council remains supportive of the proposal as it tries to generate revenue to rejuvenate community facilities. It's acted as conduit between the ratepayers and the German company behind the energy plan, Skyborn Renewables.
One-off hasn't had any of these in Australia before either, so obviously the spotlight on the town could result in increased visitors.
Skyborn will now look to build the wind farm in Commonwealth waters further off the coast. The project, though, still remains controversial in the community.
I can't see any benefit it would have offered to Kingston community in regards of extra work and income.
An alternative view on the alternative energy drive.
In sports, a thrilled Garaka Bombers AFL club received a 50,000 kina funding support from the office of the member for Moresby South, Justin Zichenko. accredited the Gurkha area as one of the fastest growing communities in the electorate and was confident that this financial intervention would greatly assist the club's positive impact in the community, especially the youth. He stated that although AFL is not followed as much as rugby league and other popular codes in the country, it still is a constructive medium to influence change in communities. Gurkha Bombers coach and director for AFL development in PNG, Danny Melly, said the club started with junior development and mainly focuses on assisting young people excel in sports. He said there is also life in sports with equal participation of women and girls. Vanuatu will meet host New Zealand, and the Solomon Islands will face Fiji in Wednesday's semi-finals at the OFC Olympic Men's Qualifier in Auckland. The Solomon Islands and Vanuatu have notched up wins on the final day of Group B action at Trust Arena, with the Solomon Islands beating Tonga 5-1 to finish with the perfect record in group play. Earlier, Vanuatu overcome Samoa 3-1 to clinch runner-up spot in the group. Papua New Guinea have missed out on the finals in the OFC Men's Olympic Qualifier after being defeated by Fiji 2-0. Fiji bounced back from Wednesday's 3-1 defeat to New Zealand, beating Papua New Guinea at Go Medium Mount Smart Stadium to finish runner-up in Group A. Coach David Muta agreed that Fiji played a more structured football.
I think we have to do a lot of work. Fiji came out a better side. They played really well. We have to go back and prepare ourselves for the next tournament. So usually, actually, I will say that our preparation was that short, and we came this way, and you can see how we played. But I give credit to all the players to give their hearts out for a short time, but they come here, they played their hearts out, and they played really strong until the final whistle. I think the Fiji, they played a pressure structure football with our players, and I think our players need more time to to get that confidence in them to play the game. And now I think their confidence is not with them when they play, and that's why we never played. We didn't go and finish through the goal. Yeah.
This ends the midday news. Join us at 6 for more.